I know that you managed to hear, along with me and others, some of the back and forth. It's a little confusing to put on television, the snippets of the hearing at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals yesterday, which was actually done by telephone conference call. Nonetheless, tell me, A, if you were able to gauge anything. Do you think that one side has an advantage based on the questions asked and the tone of the justices, the three justices? And probably you can't tell anything from that anyway. And what you think is going to happen here? Is the Trump administration going to win this? You know, the governor of Texas, Abbott, yesterday told me that they're probably going to lose in the Ninth Circuit and then win eventually in the Supreme Court.
Well, I have a little bit different take on it, Steve. I certainly understand the president's frustration in his remarks because this really is a very straightforward legal issue that has been politicked into something that's more complicated. We have a very straightforward statute that gives him the power to do this. And we're also, by the way, again, this isn't said enough, we're talking about a temporary measure with respect to 7 countries as to which we really can't vet people who want to come here. So that we can get a better vetting system in place. So it's like, if most people can't understand this in the country, I understand it because it seems like a violation of common sense that this has even gone on to this point. But my take on it is it was going to be a rough slog for the Trump administration in the Ninth Circuit in any event. It seemed to me like the questioning was very aggressive on both sides, but particularly against the Justice Department, whose lawyer, frankly, did not do what I would call a bang-up job. Not that that'll end up making a difference in the long run. I think most of these cases get decided on the papers and the proclivities of the judge. But I think that the most interesting thing, Steve, that happened, not to get into the deep legal weeds, is right around the time they were beginning to do this argument, the district judge put out a scheduling order for further proceedings. This is the judge whose order is being appealed,
right?
Judge Robart. And the reason that's significant is there's a doctrine of law that says that you can't appeal a temporary injunction until it becomes a preliminary injunction. In other words, this order that the judge made was supposedly just a stopgap measure until he gives them hearings on whether to put in a preliminary injunction, which is the preliminary step to a permanent.
So it
injunction.
was, in fact, a temporary injunction?
Yes.
So then how could that, let me play devil's advocate as a layman, not to interrupt you, you're probably going to answer it anyway, then how could this court take it?
Well, see, the problem is that when a temporary injunction looks like a preliminary injunction, they can take the appeal. And what happened here is when this judge initially made his order, he didn't put any end date on the temporary injunction. So what the Justice Department said is he may be calling it temporary, but it's acting like a preliminary injunction to hear the case. But I have a feeling that what will happen here is either Trump will lose or it will go back to the district judge and he'll lose then in a couple of weeks.